Our next speaker might just be a little more light. I'm not sure. We shall see. Brian has been, he actually has had a chance to speak, not yet a qualified speaker, but is shooting for that as a goal. Brian Porras, his topic is not so secret technique, not so secret technique. Brian Porras. You use about 10 with some time for questions, right?
Yeah, 10 for each.
Yeah.
Connor, your time, right? So 10 minutes. I'll be talking. Can you hear me? I'll be talking for about 10. So let me know when I have like a minute, and then I'll be doing a Q&A for 10.
Questions on it.
Okay. I can also talk a bit shorter too. It's fine. Oh, also my speech will not be a lighter theme than John's. If you were there, I'm so sorry you had to see that. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I won't be doing that tonight. It's very different. And I'm a little emotional after John's speech, actually putting myself together. All right? You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Porras, and I am a victim of child abuse. Growing up, I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone, wasn't allowed to have friends, wasn't allowed to speak to anyone. I wasn't allowed to go to school because my older brothers were bullied. I didn't learn how to read. I didn't learn how to write. I still can't write, but don't worry about that. I didn't learn how to do math. I had to figure out equations on my own. At the age of 14, I told my mom, I begged her, my biological mother, I told her I couldn't read. Please do something. I can't understand math. I want to learn music. Can dad teach me the piano? My mom threw a book in front of me and said, this will teach you how to read. I can't read. So I never learned. Age of 19, I opened my first book. I became a speed reader. Now I read fine. I do math great. In school, they called me human calculator. My parents actually got so sick of me not knowing how to do anything, they threw me into school. This is about the same time I left my house. I grew up going from different household to household, calling different people mom or dad. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because I originally wasn't going to, but John, I heard him speak. And I felt it had an attachment to what I'm going to go through now. See, I may not be able to speak as a kid. I would often cover my mouth. I would shut up. I go 3 days without speaking. By the way, going 3 days without speaking, it will not get your voice any deeper, so don't try it, okay? And I'm not a heavy smoker, if that's what you think. It's all natural. But when they put me on stage at church, because the high schoolers were running the service, I gave a sermon. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't nervous for the service. Around 16, I had to get a job and start making my own money, so I became a martial arts instructor. I taught a class that was called Street Survival, which is a really bad name for a class where you teach somebody 1,000 ways to kill a man. But we can't call it Street Killer for legal reasons. I could speak in front of people. I could teach, but once I got out of the gym, I couldn't talk to people one-on-one. What was going on? My brain was backwards. Most people fear public speaking, and they can have personal conversation. I'm sure plenty of you can have personal conversations, but the world, number one fear of mankind is public speaking. Number two is falling. You're afraid of heights. And number three is death. Now, I'm not afraid of public speaking. I am afraid of heights. And I don't know if I'm afraid of death. I haven't tried it yet. Not looking forward to it. But there's nothing to worry about. The worst thing that can happen is you walk up on stage, you fall off, and you die. And I don't mind public speaking. I don't mind getting in front of people. I don't mind walking around being a little more whimsical. I'm favoring this side of the room because 90% of you are lopsided over here. I'm kind of wondering why Sarah won't join us. And not to forget about my friends online as well. And Rob. Thank you, Rob. What was my technique? I had one secret technique that allowed me to public speak. As somebody who had a rather abusive childhood, all I could do was think about what other people thought of me. I couldn't share anything from myself. Everything was external. Everything was what everyone else wanted, while I sat there almost as a vegetable, unable to move. My primary technique for speaking is I see things from the audience's perspective. Now, this may not surprise some of you. There's some advanced speakers in the room. They call it audience focused. I don't really like that term, audience focused. They're asking you what the audience wants, trying to give the audience what they want, trying to be focused on the audience. It's good for beginners. I think it's great for beginners. You're looking at the audience, you're taking the eyes off yourself. But audience perspective is trying to put your eyes where somebody is sitting, looking directly at them. Does the speaker have body language? Does he have different momentum in his words? Does he have different tones when he flows? What does the audience want to see? I have to remember what I look like on stage. When I'm watching from the audience, I vision myself and what it would look like when I'm up there to see from everybody else. Do I have a deep voice? Do I have a weird voice? Do I use my body language? Am I short? Am I tall? I practice in the mirror. I see from the audience's perspective. This doesn't just help in speaking. It helps me in my daily life. It helps me speak to my friends, wonder what they're going through. I'm trying to share the one single technique and how I do it, but I'm rabbit trailing because of John's speech. I'm just thinking about how when I was in high school and my friends, they were depressed, they would text me these things about loading their weapon and wanting to take their own lives, how I would just have to look from their side of things and take action. I would call them up. I would stop it. I called the police on one of my friends when I was a kid, and I stopped him from doing those sorts of things. And through my life, what has got me through, what has helped me is seeing other people and what they think. Your brain is one very small object compared to the 8 billion people in the world. It's like reading a book. I'm sure a lot of you read self-improvement books in here. You're gaining wisdom and knowledge from someone else's perspective. I read John C. Maxwell. I read, was it Gary Smalley? What's his name? Whatever. I read these books, and I'm drawing a blank on their names, but yeah, I read a lot of success books, and you're drawing knowledge from other people. These are thousands of years from other people who have gathered different informations. And I think what we're missing nowadays is the human touch. Everybody's going to ChatGPT for everything. No offense to that, but I just Googled the percentage of people that have a fear of public speaking, and Google said 75%. Now, excuse my language, but that's a load of dog water. I asked a man in the hallway while I was out there pacing, getting a little bit of energy off, how he felt about public speaking because he was a hospital employee. He said it terrifies him. He said it made it hard for him to get through college. What we do is important. When we speak, it's important. As presenters, as the man talking about the Red Cross, I apologize for forgetting your name, to the job applications, to the qualified speaker, what we do is very important here. This is not a 25% talent in the world. This is a 1%. I would argue this is a 0.1% talent in the entire world. And it has to do with connection. The speech is not the speech that you're giving. The speech is what's hitting the audience's ears. A public speaker is nothing without his audience. If there was no one in this room, I would not be a public speaker. I would be clinically insane. I'd just be rambling. Everything we do here is so important. A very foolish man once said, "Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you." But a really clever rapper once said, "Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can save a life or make you take your own, so change your tone." It's me, I'm the rapper. I rap, by the way, but I'm not going to do it here. This is not appropriate. Not the right attire. Where was I? Sticks and stones. Yeah, sticks and stones. Thank you. Thank you. The amount of wisdom we can gain from other people and the connections that we have is nothing to scoff at. I wanted to talk about how if you're trying to make an impact, we're hearing it today. We're hearing people speak into us, and it's never too late to make an impact. I may look like I'm still in high school, but I'm 29. Okay. Colonel Sanders didn't he founded KFC in his 60s. Was it guy who owned McDonald's? Ray Kroc in his 50s, right? Jesus didn't start his ministry until he was 33. Till then he was just a carpenter. it's never too late to make an impact. It's about, what was it? Forget that. Pardon me, I'm gathering my thoughts. I was supposed to share a technique with you all, which is I see things from the audience's perspective and how it gets rid of the nerves and everything on stage. And I wanted to share with you that I have multiple techniques. I have breathing exercises. I have preparations on stage. I have things I do off. I record my voice. I watch myself in the mirror. Some of you are advanced in here. Some of you are starting more fresh. And I would actually like to open up to a brief Q&A to where if anybody has any questions about stage nerves and how to get that away from yourself, if I could help answer those questions. So we can do a Q&A now. I don't know if... Okay. And anybody have any questions about... Anybody? Anybody? Yes.
Your age, have you noticed a difference in handling nerves from younger generations than you versus your same generation or older generations?
Exactly. And that's why I love that question. That's what I do about my technique. It almost feels like cheating. So when you're putting yourself inside the audience's perspective, age becomes less of a thing. When I was growing up, the only friends I could really have were adults, to elders, and now I get along with Gen Z all the way back to the boomers. And when you're speaking to different audience members, when you're checking from their perspective, it eliminates that barrier, that social barrier, right? I grew up in, what is it, the millennials, the depressed generation, okay? When I'm seeing from someone else's perspective, yeah, she agrees. When you're seeing from someone else's perspective, it takes that away because I know they didn't grow up the same way that I did. I try to get into their head, which leads me to a very important topic. John C. Maxwell talks about how manipulation and motivation, there's a very fine line between them. So when I'm getting into someone's head, I'm not trying to manipulate them, but it's a very fine line. And that's how I feel when it comes to different generations in age. I'm not trying to manipulate somebody because I know they grew up different. I knew they grew up in a different different world at this point with all the technological advancements we're making. I try to motivate them because I try to see what they've been through. Right? Anybody else have any questions about nerves? Anything online? No? No questions? Okay. Well, then, oh, Sharon?
You said you had a very difficult childhood,
I did.
but I know in your school stories presentation here at ISB, you shared how in high school, you just became a talker. You would do the final presentation for your group projects. And that's how you got through high school and graduated. And then you also mentioned that you gave a talk, like a sermon.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, what switched within you to empower yourself to use your voice and to get that confidence to speak?
That's a really good question. I probably have to dig back a bit. There's definitely an element of survival to it. There's an element of survival. I was very malnourished, and I had to find a way to do something to get a job, to speak in front of people. I would hope you don't have to go through that. What specifically clicked for me to allow me to go up, I no longer wanted to live life by the sidelines. I was getting jealous of everything. Envy. It was a demon within me. I saw other people doing things, hanging out with people, having friends, having relationships, and I kept living life by the sidelines. I wasn't ready. I wasn't in the moment. I was getting ready to get ready. I was getting ready to get ready to get ready all the time. You ever meet someone like that? They're just getting ready to get ready. No, I need to put myself in the moment. So really, when my martial arts instructor said, you have some of the best technique, teach class, I have to thank him for that. Because he didn't say, do you want to teach class, Brian? You're 14 years old. He said, teach class. And they went out and got a coffee while I taught class. So what I have to thank is people in my life who already did it better than me. And I followed them. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Question? Right. Thank you.